When I was growing up, my mom would take me to the video store. She'd ask me to pick one film, and more often than not, for a little while, Joel Schumacher's Batman films were my choices. Even my mom would ask, "Really? These again?"
I need a sign.
How about slippery when wet?
But I love them. I think what was most notable was its visual style. Through this, it captured the energy of reading comic books again. A visual medium that was meant for children now directly inspired adults to make superhero films for children? That was really exciting. But before we talk about his distinct style and choices, we can't ignore Schumacher's background in fashion. He was trained at the New York Fashion Institute of Tech. He was introduced as a costume designer before gaining connections in writing and directing feature films in Hollywood. I won't gloss over his entire filmography, but the late 80s proved pivotal for his trajectory. After falling out with Tim Burton's contribution to the Batman franchise, Warner Brothers were eager in picking a director that had a style that could potentially fit a superhero aesthetic, while also attracting Hollywood star power just like the Burton films did before. St. Elmo's Fire, Lost Boys, and Flatliners were clear indications of his strengths in dramatic storytelling, with supernatural elements, attractive cinematography, and overall grounded and well thought out pieces. All of these elements added to Schumacher's growing resume. He had a way with turning young up-and-coming actors into solid blockbuster stars. Any studio's dream. However, anytime Joel Schumacher's name is mentioned, you find the discussion beginning and ending with his two Batman films. Rarely does his more acclaimed work stand out. I mean, have you seen Flawless? It's an amazing film, and if you can find a way to watch it, please do. But I digress. When it comes to a director's vision and creative process for a film, you'll find that what can hinder their full potential is input from a more commercial source. While being tasked to operate the ship of the Batman franchise, it's true that McDonald's got to review the script for Batman Forever, and more vehicles were specifically added for the purpose to capitalize on toys and other merchandising. While still being held to those expectations, Schumacher simply delivers. These films might not be perfect, but throughout you can see the risk that an auteur would take. But I'll let the man talk for now.
Batman is a comic book. It's supposed to be a comic book. It was created in 1939 to be a comic book. We made a living comic book.
Looking at his Batman films, and more specifically Batman and Robin, each costume and set design chosen for the film dramatizes the world of Batman. While it may come off as slightly campy or over the top, it accepts those elements and proudly exists as a unique comic book exhibition. More than the puns and overall cartoonish feel to it, I think the issues these films have is in its writing. In stark contrast to his earlier films, Batman Forever, and more so Batman and Robin, loses focus on one motivation for a protagonist and villain. His villains are cartoonish. They often stood out to me more than any other character in his films, even when the titular character themselves were often bland. But Schumacher's Batman enjoyed being Batman and even showcased his ridiculous bat accessories. Instead, it jumbles one too many stars and giving each and every one of them enough screen time to justify what they bring to the story. Revisiting the same elements of why people say this film is bad gives a chance to examine its strengths. And I think what works is that they set out to make a fun film that boldly displays a neon cyberpunk universe. A film that isn't trying to necessarily say something, but doing it in an exciting way to continue this mega franchise. Burton's Gotham was a dark and eerie representation of a crime-ridden city that accepted Batman, while Nolan's realism depicts a city that looked like Chicago and New York City, a realistic approach to a world that didn't accept the superhero facade. The neon cyberpunk aesthetic of Joel Schumacher's Batman films were something to behold, and I doubt we'll ever see Gotham City look like this in a live-action adaptation ever again. Thanks for watching. If you're new here, hi, I'm Adi, and I like making video essays. This is something new I'm trying out, so if you have any suggestions or any critiques for me, please comment down below. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.